So what, we get drunk. So what, we smoke weed. We're just having fun. We don't care who sees. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. What is up, people? What you just heard was my personal song of the day, Young, Wild and Free by Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg featuring Bruno Mars. Now, I don't agree with that song, I don't smoke drugs or anything that they mention, but I do personally like the flow of the song, and I definitely like the music of the song. So therefore I would indeed like the song, that's why I listen to it whenever I walk or whenever, I don't know, whenever I do anything, you know, go shopping or whatever, I always listen to that song. So anyways, on to today's topic, which is episode 5 of Living Life, and today's topic will be about video games. I personally played video games when I was young, and the video games that I have played are games such as Super Mario Brothers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario Brothers, and baseball on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Some of you know the game, some of you may have played it before. And for me personally, for baseball, it was so hard to hit a home run. I mean, I always missed, always got striked, and often when I do hit the ball comes straight towards the screen. Ever since, I've always been a Nintendo and Sega fan through the years, and for characters such as Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog. So I moved to England when my mother came here a year beforehand, and well, I moved away from my video games back home in South Africa, and then, well, I was kind of looking for some new entertainment. So I needed to play some video games, and so the console that I got was the original PlayStation, also known as maybe the PSX. And I absolutely loved it. I had games such as Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3, Crash Team Racing, Crash Bash, the original Gran Turismo, Spyro the Dragon 1, 2 and 3, and last but certainly not least, Ape Escape. I loved Ape Escape. That is probably the best 3D platformer that I've played back then, and probably one of my favorites. I wish I can play that game again, and if I do want to play the game again, I will need to look into getting a original PlayStation and that game and then play it through. After a while, I began noticing a little craze that was called Pokemon. There was an anime on TV, there were adverts advertising games, and there was Game Boys advertised around town and things like that, and Pokemon Red and Blue was just out of this world. There was a trading card game as well. I mean, Pokemon was the thing. So I looked into getting a Game Boy Color, and because Pokemon was the craze and I was interested because of the anime, I looked into getting Pokemon Red or Blue, and I decided to get Pokemon Blue because blue is my favorite color and I like the look of Blastoise. Ever since, I was hooked. I mean, the story was incredible, the game was huge. I mean, you had to collect 151 Pokemon. And the tunes of that game was the best video game music I've ever heard. It's so catchy. I often found myself humming the music. The music composition of that game is just incredible. So I played that game for months, maybe years to come, and sooner or later a new main series Pokemon game came out, and that was Pokemon Gold and Silver. Again, the game was amazing, the tunes, all new Pokemon, so there was 251 now to collect, so the game was even bigger. You could visit 2 regions. I mean, the first playthrough that I did on Pokemon Silver, which was the version that I got, I didn't even realize that I could go to Kanto, and that was a big surprise. You had to take down another 8 gym leaders, and that was just incredible. So going back to Kanto was nice. Tunes played again, I was familiar with my surroundings, things have changed, and that battle with Red towards the end of the game. My gosh, his Pokemon was so high leveled. I called him Ash back then because he looked just so familiar. And that insane OP Snorlax who had so much HP, I mean, I struggled to take him out. So since then I was back on Nintendo and I gradually got their consoles. So I got the GBA, then the GameCube, then the DS, then the Wii, and then the 3DS. So now into the present day I've received a massive library of games. I've sold the one that I've completed before, but through the years that I've been here in England, which is over 14 years now, I have many games that I love, and there's only a few of those that are absolutely amazing, and some that are not as good as they came out to be because, I don't know, maybe they were too easy or too short. One of these games is the one that I'm showing you right now. It's Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, the definitive version of this game, and it is the first playthrough that I went through was indeed scary. I have to say I've never played this game before. It was released in 2004, but released on the Wii in 2007, I believe. And yeah, this game is phenomenal. I mean, the dude with the chainsaw that you see on the cover, I mean, he only appeared, say, twice in the game. So that was, I don't know why they advertised this dude on here, but I mean, it definitely gave the scare factor. And Resident Evil 4 is also a long game, fantastic story, amazing settings, great character development as well from the previous Resident Evil games and things like that, and yeah, one of the very best games that I own. Another best game that I own is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, also on the Wii. And the hype that surrounded this game was insane when I saw it in E3 and when they released trailers. I mean, I was just amazed and I just really wanted that game. I mean, the possibility of having a sword in your own hand with the Wii remote, I mean, that was just too much to resist to not buying this game. And again, I say, the story was long, phenomenal, memorable. There was even a touch of romance between Princess Zelda and Link himself. And it's the story of how this sword was made, and that is so cool. I mean, personally I always wanted to know how the Master Sword was made and why it was in the pedestal of time and the Ocarina of Time and things like that, so it's definitely cleared up some plot holes in the personal sense, so this was pretty cool. This game, Pokemon Black 2, was released in 2012, I think, and well, I got this game because, you know, I collect Pokemon main series games, and well, I just wanted to see what the story was, and yeah, I mean, this game is definitely the fans' game. I mean, everything is in here. I mean, all the gym leaders and was in this game, even the Kanto region people. I mean, the Pokédex was, the national dex was huge. I love Black Kyurem, and well, I mean, this game is cool. Definitely better than Pokemon Y, that's for sure. Speaking of Pokemon Y, here it is. The reason I got this game is, again, because I collect Pokemon games, and it was the first 3D Pokemon game in terms of not a top-down view, but more towards behind the main character that you play as. And it's also in actual stereoscopic 3D, so that's pretty cool. Not all the time though, so that kind of sucks. Pokemon Y was also the introduction of a new generation, so new region, new Pokemon, and I don't know, for me personally there wasn't as many memorable Pokemon in the game. I mean, my favourite Pokemon in Generation 6 is probably Coverstar, Yveltal. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was a game that I wanted to get because Assassin's Creed 3 intrigued me and I just wanted to see how the story developed. I haven't played any previous games in the series, and well, what can I say? I mean, this is the grandfather of Connor Kenway of Assassin's Creed 3, and well, the main selling point for me was because it was set in the golden age of pirates, and I love pirates and pirate stories. Sailing in the seas of the Caribbean, the classic pirate talk and things like that. I mean, the story was amazing, the gameplay is good, the game is long as well. I mean, there's so much to do in this open world game, and it's just one of my favorite games that I own right now, and one of the favorite games that I've played. This is definitely one of my most played games, Super Smash Bros. Brawl for Wii. And when I got this game, I think it was in 2008. It's a culmination of Nintendo characters, and there were so many of them in there. And it's one of my favorite game series of all time. It's a fighting game of its own kind of definition. And looking at my playing hours, this is definitely my most played games. I saw recently that it clocked in over 500 hours, and well, my most played character is definitely Ike of Fire Emblem. So Super Smash Bros. Brawl is amazing. I am really looking forward to the sequel, which is coming out in a couple of months' time, first for the 3DS and then for the Wii U come winter time. And the best news that I've heard for this new Super Smash Bros. Game is that Ike is rejoining the character roster. So I'm going to be using him mostly, as well as Sonic the Hedgehog. Finally, another personal favorite game of mine released for the GameCube way back in the day. I think it was one of the launch titles, or the titles that was launched in the launch window. It's a remake of the Dreamcast game, and the sequel to that Dreamcast game. And because, as you know, as I've said previously, me being a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, this game is definitely one of my favorites. The soundtrack, the gameplay, the levels, and the funny stuff that happened in the game, I mean, is pretty cool. And the game's longevity is so vast. I mean, that is just mainly because there was a tiny Chow Garden kind of mini game in there, and I was just hooked on that game. I mean, I was entering my Chow in contests, winning ribbons, raising them, growing berries and things like that. It was like kind of like a life sim within this adventure game, or platform game. And Sonic Adventure 2 Battle has the best opening level of all time. The soundtrack of that opening level is amazing. Escape from the city, and the level is just cool. You're tarmac boarding in the beginning of the stage, doing stunts. You're homing attacking on the enemies, and then you're grinding on the handrails. Oh, that level of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, the first one, Sonic's Great Escape, is probably my favorite level in any game ever. So at the moment I am playing through Resident Evil 4. I'm at the castle at the moment, so mid chapter 3 in the story, and it's a major part of the game, and I don't know, personally I think it's a drag, but anyway. Ashley just got kidnapped, so I'm in that part. I'm just blazing through the level with my Chicago typewriter in the second special costume. I just want to play through the story, and that's the gun I bought, and yeah. The next game of purchase that I want to get though is Mario Kart 8. It has been released on the Wii U on Friday. If you can remember, in my first episode I mentioned that Mario Kart 8 would be coming in 5 days time, which would be the Saturday, which would be today. I was incorrect, so it was 4 days time back then. And for the games that I'm going to purchase are both versions of the Super Smash Bros. Games for the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U, as well as Pokemon Omega Ruby, because that is the game that I'm mostly anticipating for this year. I mean, it's a remake of the 3rd generation of Pokemon games, and hopefully the trumpets will be back. In my personal opinion, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, so Generation 3, had the next best soundtrack after Red and Blue, because Generation 3's music was predominantly with trumpets as the main instrument, and the tunes were catchy, from the route and town tunes to the gym leader battles to the Pokemon League battle music, and let's not forget that Reggie's battle theme song. So that's all for today's episode, episode 5 of Living a Life Video Games. This is my kind of like personal talk through what I think about video games and how it plays a major part in my life. Well, not major, because I've gotten older now and reality has kicked in compared to my childhood. I'm playing a lot less, but if I do have spare time that I can definitely use to play video games, I would play it. I would like to say it's a hobby of mine, and well, it's a nice form of entertainment, that's for sure, other than I don't know, TV or movies, or reading books, maybe reading manga as well. This also leads on to a great topic for my next video or next episode in Living Life. So I'm going to talk about another nerdy thing, which would probably be Japanese manga and anime that I've watched, and the ones that I like, and the things that I love about it, and etc, etc. So peace be with you all. Hope everything is well with each and every one of you. Definitely on Monday I'll bring the next episode. I'll be writing the script for it either tonight or tomorrow. And until then, dudes and dudettes, live well.